She had nothing, no home, no family, just the streets she called her world. But when she saw him, a man in a suit, wealth spilling from every pocket, she knew something was wrong, something deadly. In that split second, she had to warn him, but would he listen? What she knew could save his life or ruin everything. And the truth behind her warning wasn't just shocking. It revealed a deeper injustice most people choose to ignore. Who holds the power and who pays the price?
She moved through the bustling streets with practiced invisibility, a small backpack clutched tightly to her chest. Days blended together, searching for food, avoiding trouble, surviving where no one seemed to notice. Yet, despite the hardships, she carried a sharp mind and a fearless heart, navigating a world that often turned its back on her. That morning, as sunlight bounced off the city's glass towers, she spotted him, a man polished and powerful, completely unaware of the danger edging closer. Something about him made her pause, a chill she couldn't shake. And in that instant, she knew the ordinary rhythm of their lives was about to shatter.
She followed him from a distance, weaving through crowded sidewalks, careful not to draw attention to herself. Every step she took felt heavier than the last, each glance around the corner making her heart race. Something about him screamed danger, though he walked with confidence, oblivious to the world beyond his wealth and status. Earlier that morning, she had overheard whispers of betrayal, words thrown carelessly by people who never thought she was listening. But she had heard enough. She knew what he didn't. Someone close to him, someone trusted, was planning something deadly. The thought tightened her chest, a mix of fear and fury, knowing that no one else would intervene. As she approached, the city seemed to pulse with tension. Horns blared, strangers bumped past, and yet all noise faded beneath the pounding of her own heartbeat. She spotted him pausing at a crosswalk, completely unaware of the invisible thread of danger tightening around him. Her mind raced. How could she stop this? How could she make someone believe a homeless girl before it was too late? She ran a hand through her tangled hair, scanning the crowd for allies, for witnesses, for anyone who could help. But the truth was stark and cold. She was alone. And in that moment, the weight of her invisibility, the countless times society had turned its back on her, pressed down with unbearable force. Every instinct screamed to shout, to run, to do something. But she knew that panic would accomplish nothing. She needed precision, timing, and the courage she didn't always feel she had. Suddenly, she saw the car, parked nearby, engine humming quietly. It waited like a predator. And there she saw it, tiny, almost invisible, but unmistakable. A subtle tampering, a small act of sabotage that could end a life in an instant. She froze, the world narrowing to that single, horrifying detail. And then the man looked up, catching her gaze for a fraction of a second. Their eyes met. And in that moment, she realized if she didn't act now, no one else would. Her legs burned as she moved closer, weaving through traffic, dodging oblivious pedestrians. Every second stretched, every breath labored, the city a blur around her. A voice called out from across the street, someone laughing, oblivious to the stakes at play. She clenched her jaw. No distractions, no mistakes. Then, just as she was about to reach him, a shadow crossed her path, a figure blocking her view, a barrier she hadn't anticipated. Panic surged, time slowed. One wrong move and everything she had been risking for this moment could unravel. She pressed on anyway, teeth gritted, heart hammering. The danger was real, the clock ticking, and the injustice of the world, where her warnings could be ignored because of who she was, added a bitter edge to her fear. And in that instant, she realized the most terrifying part wasn't the sabotage itself. It was the possibility that after all she did, the world might still refuse to see her truth.
She lunged forward, heart hammering, every nerve screaming as the car door swung open. He froze, confusion and trust flashing across his face for the briefest moment before realization struck. Time compressed, seconds stretched into eternity. Her warning, her voice, her very presence became the difference between life and death. The glint of metal caught her eye, small, deliberate, deadly. Her chest tightened as adrenaline surged. She had seen the plan unfold in whispers, in subtle signs, but now it was real, immediate, and terrifying. She shouted, her voice cracking through the chaos of honking horns and distant sirens, but doubt lingered in his eyes. Did he believe her? Could he trust the warning of a girl the world had long ignored? Around them, the city moved obliviously, indifferent to the stakes. People passed, faces glazed with routine, unaware that a single act of courage could rewrite someone's fate. Every heartbeat thundered in her ears, each one a reminder that hesitation could mean the end. She grabbed his arm, shaking, desperation and fury mingling, begging him to see the truth she carried. And then he looked. The moment stretched, fragile and impossible. The weight of history, of prejudice, of countless times the powerless had been dismissed, bore down on her. For the first time, she realized the raw injustice wasn't just in the act itself. It was in the disbelief, the instinct to ignore her simply because of who she was. A screech of tires, a heart-stopping lurch, the car jolted forward, engine threatening, but he paused, finally understanding. Eyes wide, he acted, a split-second decision that would decide everything. Her chest heaved with fear and hope intertwined, the line between survival and tragedy razor thin. And in that instant, as the danger momentarily receded, she felt the bitter taste of reality settle. It wasn't over. The world still hadn't changed, and the injustice she'd fought to reveal lingered, waiting for the next moment, the next victim. Would anyone ever truly listen when it mattered most?
He made it out alive, but the weight of what had almost happened clung to him like a shadow. Every glance at the car, every memory of her warning reminded him that life had hung by a fragile thread, and that thread had been held by someone society often refuses to see. She, the girl who had lived in invisibility, had become the keeper of truth in a world that chooses to ignore it. For her, nothing had changed. She returned to the streets, carrying the same burdens, facing the same indifference, yet knowing she had made a difference, if only for a moment. That fleeting impact, however small to the outside world, revealed the immense power of courage, vigilance, and the act of speaking truth even when the world doubts you because of the color of your skin, your status, or your place in society. This wasn't just one warning, one act of bravery. It was a reflection of countless untold stories, lives shaped and threatened by prejudice, invisibility, and systemic injustice. The incident exposed a reality many choose to overlook, that society's blind spots often endanger those least able to defend themselves, and that truth can be ignored until it's too late. And yet, in that danger, there was clarity. Change begins when we notice, when we act, when we refuse to let fear or bias silence a voice. The girl's courage forced a life to continue, but it also forced a question into the world. How many times have warnings been ignored simply because of who spoke them? Her story doesn't end here. It's a call to watch, to listen, to reflect, and to act. How many lives are still hanging in silence? How long before the world truly sees those it refuses to acknowledge?